The moon who wanted to touch the ocean. Once, very long ago, when the world was still learning how to be quiet at night, there lived a moon who was full and round, and the most beautiful shade of soft silver you could ever imagine. She hung in the sky each evening like a gentle lantern, casting her glow over sleeping meadows and whispering forests and the long, curving shores of the sea. Every night she rose slowly, the way warm bread rises in an oven, taking her time, settling into her place among the stars with a soft and satisfied sigh. She was happy, mostly. She was peaceful, always. But deep within her silver heart, she carried one small and tender wish. She wished more than anything that she could reach down through all that dark and silky sky and let her fingertips rest, just for a moment, upon the cool and shimmering surface of the ocean below. She had watched the ocean for as long as she could remember, and she had come to love it the way you love something that is always there when you look for it. Every evening, as the sun tucked himself behind the hills and the sky turned from amber to lavender to the deepest, softest blue, the moon would begin her slow journey upward. She passed the early stars, the little ones who were always first to arrive, blinking themselves awake one by one, like children opening their eyes on a slow morning. She passed the wide, open stretches of sky, where the nightbirds glided silently on warm currents of air, their wings spread wide and still. And as she climbed higher and higher into her place among all that quiet and darkness, she would look down at the ocean and feel something warm and gentle move through her, something that had no name but felt a little like longing and a little like love. The ocean, you see, was magnificent. Even from so far above, the moon could see how the water moved, slowly and endlessly, rolling in great soft hills that rose and fell like a sleeping giant, breathing in and out. The water caught her light and held it, scattering it into thousands of little silver pieces, and the moon thought that this was perhaps the kindest thing anyone had ever done for her. The ocean was always there, the ocean was always listening, and on still nights, when the wind rested and the world grew very quiet, the moon could almost hear the ocean whispering something back to her, a low and steady sound, soft as a lullaby. One evening the moon decided that she would try, in her own gentle way, to reach the ocean. She did not rush. She did not strain or pull herself about in the sky. That was not her way. Instead, she simply thought about the water below, and she let her light fall more softly, more warmly than usual, spreading it out across the surface of the sea like a long silver blanket being laid down over a sleeping child. Her glow touched the very tops of the waves first, lighting each one with a pale and lovely shimmer, the way frost lights the edges of a leaf in the early morning. And then, slowly, her light reached a little further, sinking just beneath the surface where the water turned from black to deep blue to a soft and glowing green. Down in the ocean, something was happening. The fish who swam near the surface felt the moonlight settle over them like a warm hand, and they slowed in their swimming, turning gently in lazy, dreaming circles. The seagrass swayed a little more slowly, the sand on the shallow floor glittered and rested. Even the smallest wave seemed to soften, to lose its hurry, to simply breathe. And then, from deep below, something rose. It was a whale, old and slow and very, very large, and she swam upward through the layers of dark water, unhurried and calm, until she broke the surface with the softest sound, like a long and peaceful exhale. She floated there, her great dark back glistening in the moonlight, and she looked up. The moon looked down. And in that long, still moment, something passed between them, something quiet and certain and completely without words, the way understanding sometimes arrives not in a rush but in a slow and gentle tide. The moon felt it, warm as summer and soft as cloud, and she realized something she had not known before. She had been reaching all along, every single night. For as long as she could remember, she had been touching the ocean, not with hands, because she had none, not with arms, because she needed none, but with her light, which was the truest and most tender part of herself, the part she gave freely every evening to anyone who looked up and needed it. She touched the ocean with every reflection she left shimmering on the water. She touched it in the slow pull of the tides, which rose and fell each day because of her, because she called to the water gently and the water always answered. She touched it in the way the waves seemed to lean toward her on a clear night, reaching up in their own quiet way, as if they too had been wishing for the very same thing. She and the ocean had been reaching for each other all along, across all that soft and open sky, and they had been finding each other, every single night, without ever quite knowing it. The whale blew a slow, misty breath into the air, and the moon watched the tiny cloud of water rise and drift and dissolve into the dark. She felt something settle inside her, something that had been gently restless for a very long time, and it was peace. It was the deep and quiet kind of peace that comes when you stop looking for something and realize it was already yours. And so the moon continued her slow path across the sky, as she always had, as she always would. She passed over sleeping villages and quiet harbors and long, empty beaches where the sand was cool and smooth. She passed over rivers that murmured softly to themselves, and lakes that lay still and dark and perfectly calm. And everywhere she went, she let her light fall gently, like a hand resting softly on a shoulder, like a blanket being drawn up around something small and warm and loved. The ocean below rolled and breathed and shimmered, and the two of them moved together through the night, the way old friends do, comfortable in their closeness, at ease in their distance, held together by something invisible and good. And if you were to go down to the shore on a quiet night and sit very still and look out at the water, you would see it too. The long silver path the moon lays across the waves, stretching from horizon to shore, from sky to sea, from one heart to another. It is always there, that shining road, waiting for you to notice it, waiting for you to remember that the things we love are never really out of reach. And now, as the moon settles softly into the deep part of the night, and the ocean breathes its slow and endless breath, it is time for you, too, to let your eyes grow heavy, to let your thoughts drift out like a calm tide, and to sink, gently and completely, into the warm and peaceful dark of sleep.